Hello. Oh, am I on? I hope you can hear me. I hope all is well. I'm here today to discuss, as per your request, more Neville Goddard's Your Faith is Your Fortune. As you can see, this book is very well loved. I've got post it notes as little markers of where I've left off. And I think I even found a cafe tissue somewhere in here. Lots, here it is. So much going on. Anyway, so today's topic is going to be circumcision. So it's basically just decoding, I suppose, vital elements of scripture as they're meant to be understood. So all of these things we know are allegorical, as the greatest teacher that ever lived spoke in parables. If he did live, if he didn't live, it doesn't actually matter because the message is here. So everybody wins. So if you don't know, I do have a Patreon and I have gone through chapters of this book. I did cover circumcision in depth there. We have done a lot. Prayer, the meaning of Easter, as Easter weekend has just finished. We've done Easter as well. That was really interesting. I'll enjoy that one very much, and all the astrological and astronomical principles of that. And what was the other one? Christmas as well, we've done. Just so fun. Okay, so let's get into it without further ado. Also, just a quick update on readings. I'm not currently in my reading era because I've gone back to studying, but I will offer full chart readings on like a rolling basis. I'm not sure when I'll be able to put them up. So I think every month I can allot like maybe 3 to 5, depending on how heavy the month is. April is not very heavy, so I can offer about 5 of them. So email me gurugritinfo@gmail.com. Make sure you check Etsy first to check the status updates, and yeah, it should be posted to Etsy. If it's posted to Etsy, you'll see it there. Someone also requested solar return special for spring. Solar returns have been half price for the last like maybe 3, 4 weeks. They've gone from 150 to 75, just because I can't do heavy things at the moment. So we're doing our best. So we have to ration things out. But yeah, so I've you've cast your votes. What should we do? Should we do Neville Goddard or Tantra material? Actually, my laptop is resting on 3 tantric books. So we're going to do Neville Goddard first, and then we'll get into Tantra going through April, and that will be for our April, our monthly calls first. Then it will go to Patreon, and then what's left over will go to the public. But I respect people's time and money, so I value that. So I'm going to do it that way. But I'm also wondering if you're interested in, what I'm really interested in is doing some kind of like tantric course, but I don't know if we should do a live one or if we should do like a downloadable one where there's video or my talking plus like slides that you can print and like keep with you. So instead of you reading 10 books, I've read 10 books and I've practiced Tantra for, it's Thursday. So 1 week from tomorrow is exactly 1 year. So exactly 1 year mark. Um, yeah. So if you, and then I can compile what I've learned and my experiences and put it in that way. And then, yeah, you could just kind of like go straight to the source. And we're also going to cover shame. Hopefully, we will do that. Normally, I'm trying to go live Wednesdays and Sundays, but yesterday was my first exam. So obviously, I couldn't go live yesterday at 1 p.m. So I'm doing it today, a little bit before 1 p.m. And then I will try to keep the Sunday morning live, Sunday morning, and try to cover shame. I also am really interested in this book, The New Age Rage by Karen Hoyt. Of course, it's a Karen. But yeah, I'm interested in that. And I'm interested in a lot of like end of the world things as per usual, like Nostradamus and the Aquarian conspiracy, 4 blood moons, all that kind of stuff. So maybe we'll cover that in the future. But I want everyone to know there's topics of all kinds here, things that we apply in life. And when I talk about spirituality, it's not all love and light. It's really, well, it is at the end of the day, but also there's practical things in there. Like people are fearful and people are worried and they want to know how to fix their worries. Speaking of which, I have Wayne Dyer's. There's a spiritual solution to every problem. So we're going to go over that as well. But now, Neville Goddard, let's jump into it. Okay. The chapter opens in whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands, in putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by circumcision of Christ. Okay, circumcision is the operation which removes the veil that hides the head of the creation. The physical act has nothing to do with the spiritual act. The whole world could be physically circumcised and yet remain unclean and blind leaders of the blind. The spiritually circumcised have had the veil of darkness removed and know themselves to be Christ, the light of the world. Now let me perform the spiritual operation on you, the reader. The act is performed on the eighth day after birth. And this is really funny because I'm going to pause because in astrology, eight, the number eight, okay, associates with the eighth house and the eighth sign, which is Scorpio, which is this known as the sign or the house of that rules sex. The eighth house rules surgery. It's things that are deep. So things that bond us, things like trust. It's so the seventh house is, let's say, where you meet your partner. The eighth house will determine if you're able to bond with them. Okay. If you can trust them, things like that. It also rules things that you can't see unless you cut into it. So obviously surgery, and mining, like extracting things from the earth, okay? Finding things that are a little bit more hidden. That's why it rules the occult. This act is performed on the eighth day after birth, not because this day has any special significance or in any way differs from other days, but it is performed on this eighth day because eight is the figure which has neither beginning nor end, hence why Scorpio's transformation, the cycle of life and birth, and so forth. All right, so indifference. So here we go. This is really important. The knowledge of indifference. The veil to be lifted in spiritual circumcision is the veil of man. But before this can be done, you must cut away the adhesions of race, nation, family, and so on. Quote, in Christ there is neither Greek nor Jew, bond nor free, male nor female. You must leave father, mother, brother, and follow me. To accomplish this, you stop identifying yourself with the divisions by becoming indifferent to such claims. Ha. So your human costume effectively, right? Like my name is, I am this race, I am this age, I am of this profession, I am of this weight. Those things are, hi Saham, those things are, those are labels put upon you. And there's a way you can obviously be spiritual, still honor all those things, but it's not necessary, right? So indifference is the knife that severs. Feeling is the tie that binds. So when you're emotional about labeling yourself, I am, I'm poor, I'm rich, I'm middle class, lower, upper middle class, lower class, working class, non-working class, whatever, right? Tax evading class, who become presidents, all politicians. Sexual orientation is a big one for this day and age, medical status of certain things, okay, whatever. That when you feel bound by those things, you lose yourself in them and you cannot progress. And we were discussing progression earlier on the TikTok live, right? You're intended to evolve through life just as your body undergoes puberty, it changes. You're supposed to change. You're supposed to grow up and become wise. Okay. So, indifference, when you're indifferent to those things, okay. So, notice how somebody, let's say, who's god forbid is terribly injured, they make it their whole personality and they sink very low, which is understandable because they've lived through something horrific. And then some people don't, and then what do we say to them? You have such a great attitude, you have such a beautiful spirit, or something. The difference here is they're indifferent to that diagnosis, like Joe Dispenza was. That's why he's Joe Dispenza. When you look upon man as one grand brotherhood without distinction of race or creed, then you will know that you have severed these adhesions. With these ties cut, all that now separates you from your true being is your belief that you are man. To remove this last veil, you drop your conception of yourself as man by knowing yourself just to be. Instead of the consciousness of I am man, let there just be I am. Faceless, formless, and without figure. You are spiritually circumcised when the consciousness of man is dropped and your unconditioned awareness of being is revealed to you as the everlasting head of creation, a formless, faceless, all knowing presence. I don't know about you, but infinite intelligence sounds infinitely more punk rock than caring about books or whatever. This mystery is told symbolically in the Bible of Jesus washing the feet of his disciples. It is recorded that Jesus laid aside his garments and took the towel and girded himself. Then, after washing his disciples' feet, he wiped them with the towel wherewith he was girded. Peter protested the washing of his feet and was told that unless his feet were washed, he would have no part of Jesus. Peter, on hearing this, replied, Lord, not my feet, but also My hands and my head. Jesus answered and said, He that is washed needeth not save to wash his feet, but is clean every whit. WHIT, wit. Common sense is common sense would tell the reader that a man is not clean all over just because his feet are washed. Therefore, he should either discard this story as fantastic or look for its hidden meaning. Every story of the Bible is a psychological drama taking place in the consciousness of man, and this one is no exception. The washing of the disciples' feet is the mystical story of spiritual circumcision or the revealing of the secrets of the Lord. And what's interesting too is the emphasis on feet because it was, the symbol of Christ. Oftentimes, is you'll see it on bumper stickers of on cars, I would say, of some pretty unchristian drivers, but, yeah, like the age of Pisces, now we're entering to the age of Aquarius, so it's symbolic. Feet are very symbolic, right? You use them to move through life. They're also the most poor. I mean, this is not talking about the Bible, but feet are the most porous part of the human body, so they are very absorbent. Okay, this is why some people's socks, they have like radioactive sweat. They will like eat through the soles of their shoes, you know? And that's why like foot baths are so important, not just like biblically, like, yeah, like they love foot baths in the Bible, but that's cool. But really spiritually and just in terms of how you keep your body balanced in many, especially like Chinese culture, like drawing out toxins through feet. And, you can draw out fevers through feet. I know growing up, every culture has some version of it. In our culture, you could tie potatoes to your feet, onions, or vinegar rags. I mean, I think that was in Little Women. Was it Beth who got sick? And the mom's like, grab the vinegar and my rags, and then she drew the fever out through the feet. The washing of the disciples' feet is the mystical story of spiritual circumcision or the revealing of the secrets of the Lord. And this is another important part I want to mention in terms of Piscean nature is it's a sign based on illusion and hypocrisy, rules hypocrisy. Like they say Geminis are two-faced, but hypocrites come from this mystical fantasy land. So like marketing, um, sexual fantasies, romance, that's all in the realm of the 12th sign of the 12th house. So the feet. Jesus is called the Lord, meaning the law, by the way. You are told that the Lord's name is I am, je suis Jesus, or Jupiter Zeus astrologically. I am the Lord. That is my name, Isaiah 42:8. The story states that Jesus was naked, save for a towel which covered his loins, or secrets, because the eighth house, or the sign of Scorpio, as we mentioned, we're in circumcision. It's the number 8. This is my overlapping astrological knowledge because the Bible, I mean, 12 disciples, 12 signs, pearlies. Okay, actually has a fountain of astrological information, and it's so funny to me that they say like, "Go call your astrologers, those who read for you month for month, and tell blah blah." Blah." Okay, that's just like one verse people take and misinterpret all the time. There's more in there in the support of astrology than anything else. But anyway, right, the eighth sign and house also rules secrets and secret keeping. So that's why when you see somebody has 10th lord in the eighth house, they might change jobs often, but also they would prosper in trade secrets, like a hairstylist who doesn't tell people how they do things, or governments, politics, taxes, something that's very hidden, maybe even criminal, depends. The Lord symbolizes your awareness of being whose secrets are hidden by the towel, which is the consciousness of man. The foot symbolizes the understanding which must be washed of all human beliefs or conceptions of itself by the Lord or by the law, meaning universal law, law of attraction. In short, the removing of the belief that you are man reveals your awareness as the head of creation. Man is the foreskin hiding the head of creation. I am the Lord hidden by the veil of man. And as we know, veils have a lot of significance. Many, many religions veiling or unveiling, as it were. So, very, very interesting. So, I hope you enjoy that chapter. And now we're going to get into, answering dating. Okay. I did a video on, I think it was about 6 months ago now, maybe a little bit less than 6 months, dating and modern women and just like certain difficulties and things like that. And something that I've observed since then, of course, being so active online and things like that, is when Sorry, today's a day of treating myself because I wrote my first exam yesterday, so I deserve it. Gentlemen will say things like, all girls are the same, all girls are boring, they all do the same things, they all like the same things, without giving much credence to the fact that they are very similar. Okay. So I went on a dating app and I've talked to like maybe a couple people. So I just want to like help out the brothers, help out the brothers of humanity. Why? It's really hard to take people seriously who call you boring when they themselves are very bland and they themselves are very boring. So being accomplished is not enough. And something that I find funny. So in the video that I did about women dating, I said dating is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun. A lot of people don't have fun anymore. And one of the reasons is that they don't acknowledge you as a person. So they're basically like, I want a girlfriend because I want to have fun and do stuff like as a couple without ever, first of all, treating you as a person. So it's a little bit weird. It's very odd. This is what I mean. Please stop messaging people on the Facebook. Go, hi, how are you? Hi, how are you? Don't care who I am. Be honest. You don't care how I am. I could tell you that a toilet seat broke loose in an airplane that got split in half and came hurling through the atmosphere of the planet and struck me in the head, and it was lodged at the side of my skull, and I was about to have it surgically removed, and I'm just waiting for the paramedics to show up, and I'm lying on the street. Okay. You would not care. You would not rush down. You would not help me. You would not like pay my mortgage. You know what I mean? Don't ask trivial, boring things. Like it's insincere. And you could say, oh, it's so harmless. Harmless this, harmless that. It doesn't get you anywhere. All right. Start by actually reading the person's profile and cluing in. Are they playful? Are they fun? Are they serious? Are they edgy? Are they a little bit fiery? Like, what is that woman like? What is that man like? What do they actually like? Speak about those things. It's like a test. Stop regurgitating information and show that you're able to apply the faculties of your mind, that you can actually engage with something remotely interesting. Because all I'm hearing left and right from everybody, 10 years younger, 10 years older than me, and everything in between, is people are bored. But this is an easy fix. I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This is a very easy fix. Like engage in interesting conversation and be yourself. It's okay if you get unmatched. It's okay if you get blocked for being yourself. Okay. Somebody out there will appreciate your sense of whimsy, appreciate your sense of humor, and want to kick it with you. Okay. So if they don't, then that's great. They've just made room for someone who does. So don't take it so, this piece of hair is really ticking me off. So don't take it so personally. Okay. Every time something fumbles, you are that much closer to accomplishing your goal. So don't feel down in the dumps over it. That's all right. Great, you know? So I made a joke about how and I don't like reality TV, and the person said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that because I get so much flack for watching sports." And I said, "Sports are to men what The Bachelor is to women. Like I don't see the difference. It's just like." He said, "But it's not scripted." I was like, "Yeah, but it's rigged. What's the difference?" But he had a sense of humor about it, which is nice, you know? But if you're gonna take offense to something like that, I don't even know what to tell you. You know what I mean? I don't know what to say. So have fun, joke, because if you're dating to marry, marriage is one long date that you never come home from, right? So you might as well learn to date and have fun, because if you are bored on the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth date, 6 months into your relationship, how are you going to feel 16 years into your marriage or 42 years later? You're going to die of boredom. You're going to, that's it. It's just going to like suck the life out of you, you know? Learn to have fun. And if you're not a fun person, that's fine too. Find someone who's not a fun person. I actually did meet one person many years ago when I was traveling, and she was laughing at something I said. She goes, I was talking to her about dating, and she said, she goes, I don't know if I don't like read cues very well or something. And there's so much pressure to be funny and entertaining. And she made me, this is the only time she made me laugh. She made me laugh really hard. She was so self aware. She's very intelligent. She just went, she's very deadpan. And she went, like, you're really funny. I like being around you because you energize me. You're funny. I'm not funny. No, I know that. And I just started laughing. She was like, I know that I'm not funny. Like I don't understand. Like I don't make jokes. I don't tell jokes. I know when other people are being funny, but I'm not funny. Like a man shouldn't go out with me if he's trying to have fun unless he can make the fun happen. And I thought, oh my God, it's really funny. But good for her because she knew what she was about. She knew how she wanted to be approached and what she could offer others. And good things come to those who know who they are, because know thyself. She got married, or you know what I mean? She's happily ever after over there. So it does work. So I would say it's, and the reason this got brought up is because I know sometimes ladies complain that men don't treat them like they're special or they matter, right? They just sort of treat all women the same or whatever, and then expect women to make them feel special. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that, because you're going to get what you put out. If that's the message you're putting out to the world, is that all girls are lame, they wear their Lululemon and have their Stanley cups and whatever, they like astrology or something, then don't be surprised when women look at you and go, "You're just like every other, you know what? You're just like, she's just like every other," So, if you want someone to take you seriously, take a genuine, sincere interest in you, a person of sincere belief actually finds you fantastic. You also have to lead with that and show them that you care. Take the time to read over what they're about. If you don't meet them online, if you meet them in person, read their body language. It's called deep listening skills. It's things that are unsaid. Do her nails match her shoes or her purse or something in her hair, Figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, just figure it out. Use your mammalian senses. See if she's comfortable. See if he's having fun. See if this, see if that, see if that. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of all I've had on my mind. And from the last live, that's all I can really think of right now. I can go into more detail, but one viewer, Serene, did say the importance of education. So the importance of dating educated men. So I do know that Mina, the universe guru, see, this is, now I look like a dork, but we'll just keep going. She said the importance of education should not be lost on you. So she was talking about like epigenetics and how like, what's going on, how your body will like pass on certain genes and all this. So this is really interesting because I had a classmate who had, I'm not joking, an LLB, passed the civil boards in her country, which is very hard to do, very, very competitive. Got a master's in science, like actual like science, like chemistry and stuff. Okay. Then got an MBA, then got a graduate diploma in the legal field, then got a master's of human rights law. So she has three master's degrees. And she said, I don't want to be like my cousins who have all these degrees on their wall and they're just collecting dust, and they're just like married with kids and they don't work. Their husbands work and they sit home and polish their nails and do whatever they want. But all these papers are collecting dust. What's the point then? I was like, yeah, it's like a really good point. What is the point? And then I remember a long, long, long time ago when I was a teenager, I made a friend at like a little punk rock show, and she lived out in the suburbs. Like, she had like horses and stuff. I went to go visit her a few times, and I walked into her house, and right at the door there was like her dad's office on the side, and off to the side there was a wall of her mom's achievements, like academic and otherwise. And I was like, "Whose are those?" And mom's like, "I was like, "But you don't work." But I was like 15. I didn't know anything. Like, "What do you know about, you're 15?" I didn't know. I was naive as shit. And she's like, "Oh yeah, they're like my degrees and this, and I was really good at this and I was really good at that." I was like, "Then why are you a stay-at-home mom?" And they all kind of like burst out laughing because like obviously the dad made so much money. And I just like couldn't understand why you would get an accolade never to apply yourself, right? And then Mina, the universe guru, well, I know now, like, many years later, but she said, don't have children with uneducated men if you're educated, because it's like epigenetics, it passes on to your kids, this and that and the other. And she goes, only Western women believe in this like true love predominating thing. She goes, it's not good for your offspring. You need to find someone on your level or better. Like, women always marry up. That's like a thing, right? I thought about it somewhat and I thought, and this is a thing. I'm glad the way that I didn't listen to the whole thing, but the thing to remember is the way that it's explained is not in terms of like monetary matching. So what will happen a lot of the times is people will say something like, but my spouse is a whatever and he makes six figures. So ha ha ha. That's not the point. The point that I would articulate a little bit differently is self cultivation. So when I was in my grad program for the first time, I was with someone and it just like mentally we didn't match. And that's not because he was like super stupid or whatever and he was like an idiot, but it was because he didn't understand. the amount of endurance and diligence that it takes to go through something so grueling. And that's not to say, again, that's one person is better than the other. It's just not a match. And so, of course, matches can be made in this regard, but it's not an external measurement, which I think a lot of Westerners over fixate on. That's not what it means. I'll give you an example. I've mentioned this before. A very good friend of mine, one of her childhood friends is a radiologist. She makes a crap ton of money. She's a doctor. She went to medical school. Did her residency, all that jazz. Okay, it's no joke. The woman is a beast. Okay. She fell in love with someone from their community, married him. Do you know what he said when he married her? Do you want to know what he said? He didn't have an education. He's a plumber. Okay. He said, I knew that when we had children, her work, well, she primarily, like, I know a lot of radiologists have more mobility, but he's like, she works at a hospital. Like, so she cannot spend as much time with our kids. And so before they even had like multiple children, the wheels were turning. The wheels were turning. He was thinking, how can I be the best possible husband and father? In that order, husband first. He said, I wanted to get on her level. I wanted to impress her. I wanted her to be proud of me, right? And just because someone's a doctor or a lawyer or whatever doesn't mean that they have permanent security. Like, some you could I remember meeting a surgeon. She said, for winter, I don't get to do anything fun. I can't ski, I can't snowboard because if I hurt my hands, I'm out of work. And I did all that for what? To be screwed in life? So it's not like you're okay for life, okay? So he went ahead, took some like college courses, figured out how to start a business. Now he has 30 employees working under him because he knows plumbing. He made it a thing. He became a businessman so that he could stay home with their children. To me, that is infinitely more impressing. In back to school I go, impressive than saying, oh, I have a master's, so I married someone with a master's. It's not tit for tat like that. It's the fact that you're willing to subject yourself to something uncomfortable and arduous for no other reason than to improve your life, to improve upon yourself. And I'm going to tell you something. After I sat an exam yesterday, it was like not that great. It was like really not deeply chill at all. And I said to myself, you will only succeed, Monica, you will only succeed to the extent that you are willing to inconvenience yourself. That's all I could think. And that was my mantra. I also believe that your own effort will never betray you, okay? You don't know what your partner's going to do, you don't know what life is going to do, you don't know what's going to be taken from you. But if you pour into yourself, you will always be safe. It doesn't have to be education, it can be work experience, it can be being a hustler, being an entrepreneur. It doesn't even have to be about money. It could just be people who enjoy knowledge, people who enjoy the arts, people who are just cultivated. I know lots of people who never went to school, but they travel the world and they made use of their 20s. They speak multiple languages. You could take them anywhere and they'll fit in. They won't embarrass you in a room if you're their partner. So that's what's meant by education. It's this idea that you're willing to pour into yourself. You are willing to sit with something uncomfortable in the hopes of something better. It comes from a very immigrant mentality, which obviously I have because I am an immigrant. And it's the idea of the hope for a better future that your parents sacrificed without anyone asking them to, and that you are not going to stop there. You're going to take it to the next level. So, of course, this doesn't work for everyone. Some people take that very personally and they misread it or something. Okay. But to me, it's really impressive because it shows me that if I can't work because we've had a child, da 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 da, right? Sorry, Peter, we just covered circumcision. We're on to the next topic of self improvement. But when this uploads, you can watch it. So if something should happen, that person won't go running, right? Ideally, they wouldn't because they understand it's just a flow of life. Difficulty is just a part of life. It's nothing to take personally. It's nothing to be down in the dumps over. You just recoup and you keep going, right? Like if you miss a class, you show up for the next one. You don't do well on a test, you turn up harder for the next one. You collect yourself. This mentality can sometimes, I mean, like the good part of athletes, not the crappy ones we don't like. I discuss athletes quite a lot in astrology because I feel like they're often more in a state of flow than people who claim to be spiritual, just because they subject their bodies to uncomfortable circumstances so frequently and they pump themselves full of happy hormones. But basically, like, say you lose a game, are you going to sit and dwell on it if you're in season? No. You've got another one next week. You've just got to recover. You just have to figure out what went wrong and keep it moving. The week after, same thing. You win, you still can't celebrate too hard. You've got to keep it moving. Okay, you win the season, doesn't matter. There's a next season next year. You've got to make the most of it. You have to keep pushing. So, as our friend was saying earlier on the live, she says she really cannot relate to men who are not as educated as her and this and that. And that's perfectly acceptable because, truthfully speaking, I don't want to get too like into it, but I don't like intellectualizing experiences because they're meant to be experienced. They're not meant to be justified through the medium of thought. That's not where they belong, simply put. So if you think about it like this, men think in leagues, women don't. They don't. Okay. Maybe have a type or something, but truthfully, anyone who tries hard enough, respects you, treats you well enough, pretty much has a chance. For some reason, I didn't realize this until I was in my late 20s. Men don't think like that. They actually think that you're aware that you can do better, and then it like makes them insecure, so they treat you badly and like all this crazy stuff. They have like boxes, they have categories. Women just are a little bit more like interacting with women is a little bit more humanizing than the male sex for whatever reason. But anyway, that being said, if you're going to be perceived that way, reflect it. Okay. So if you have four, five, six pieces of paper on your wall, like our friend's cousins did, you demand the same. Why? Not because you're trying to match in a judgmental sense, because I know a lot of times in the West, people say, oh, like love is dead. It's like so judgy, this and that. It's not judgy. You're looking after the best interest of your future and the best interest of your offspring. Okay. So we're going to start a Tantra session on Patreon and my monthly calls. And the first thing you have to understand is this: women are the embodiment of nature. This will be the last thing you ever need to know. Women are the embodiment of nature. Nature, though beautiful, is inherently cruel. Nothing weak survives. Winter wipes out most things before they're reborn. um, Even cute little baby kittens who will run to the liver liver litter get ignored by their mothers. Baby birds who fall out of trees, squirrels who fall out of nests, okay? They get shafted. Why? Because life moves on. Life moves with or without you, okay? Women are like this. Women are meant to weed out the weakness in you. That doesn't mean that if women perceive some man to be weak over another, that man will never stand a chance. But the characteristic in him or the way of thinking in him has to die and give birth to something new, because that cannot be allowed to carry on. Does that make sense? So it's not like a literal thing like tit for tat. It's the interpretation of the expression of that thing. I hope that makes sense. So if you look at something like education, which I know the universe guru gave a very literal sense of like, well, if I have this, I'm not marrying a man who doesn't. Like, this is why like immigrant cultures are really stuck on that. And they are. I'm part of it, you know? But that does make a lot of sense. And there's a lot of room to think in that measure because it's a part of growing up and taking on responsibility without feeling burdened by it. This is one of the major principles Abraham Hicks teaches, that if you want something to make yourself feel free, you have to feel free first in order to get it, and then you'll have it. So I hope that makes sense to you. Am I making sense to you? I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that's answered your question. But yeah, don't settle, because the world is so vast and full of so many beautiful things. The idea of scarcity is like just an insult to God. So I hope you're all well and had a wonderful Easter. And I will hopefully see you before the eclipse on Sunday, and maybe on Monday as well. I'll come on and do some readings or pull some cards, because it's going to be an inauspicious eclipse. So I would much rather like it for you to be indoors with me than outside. Okay, I love you all. Until next time, check my Etsy and let me know what you want to see more of. You can message me on Instagram if you have questions, or email me. Okay, I love you. Bye.